Today, another good question from Corey. We're talking about when it actually is worth your time to start using AI tools. We've run into a lot of situations where you pour a bunch of time learning a new skill, building some tools, and the guy standing over your shoulder, like, you're excited, but bro, this took you way longer to build than any time it's saving you. So the question is, when do you need to start doing this? And when should you just leave it alone? You got to get the right ROI. Now, I love this topic because the whole question of not can I do something, but should I do something? Is this going to give us a good return on what we're doing? Is the primary difference between being an individual contributor, a regular employee, and being a leader, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur? Now, that's always been a really cool thing to learn. But with AI coming in, it's just unavoidable. All of us are going to have to become a little bit of that leader, entrepreneur type if we just want to survive in our own jobs. The isolation of your position is changing, which can be a good thing. And a lot of people regret being such a small cog in the wheel. And now everybody's going to be, voluntarily or not, forced into becoming a little bigger. For this, the main thing I see is that, people get in love with the tool instead of what it does. We could chat and go individual about your case and find out if your case is the right time to use AI or not. But the biggest blanket rule is start asking the freaking question. And this is harder than it sounds. I made, I don't even want to count how many, 30 videos that were probably entirely just about the tool that I like, that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted someone to use this tool because I think this tool is great. No one gives a shit. That doesn't work in advice, it doesn't work in YouTube, and it doesn't work in your workplace. So the same thing happens to some people I know where they're starting to use AI and they get excited about a new tool. Oh, OpenClaw, I can make it do anything. Okay, well, is there anything that you want it to do that'll have value to you? And they've never actually really asked that question. Asking that question is the hard part and usually answers pretty much everything. You have context. You know what's around you, what the people in your company need, what people in your business need, but we just get blinded to it because, at least if you went through our education system, and if you are an employee, everything in your life is about focusing on one small gear and just turn it as fast as possible. And if that was the wrong thing to spin, well, that's your boss's fault, that's the CEO's fault. They're the ones going to get blamed. And if you did go, oh, wait, no, this is the wrong thing to work on, we need to work on this thing over there. Okay, so you're right. You're not getting a raise. You don't get extra money if the business does better. So this has not been a way of thinking that's ever been really flexed with us. We've been forcibly, repeatedly, for decades, trained to do just look at one thing and be the best cog you can. So that's not really available to us much longer with AI coming into. So stop and ask. This neat tool, am I learning this just for fun because I think it's interesting? And if that's true, completely do it. A lot of that stuff is blue sky research and will help you with something important someday. But not now. Ask yourself, is there a useful use case for this? Is this going to get the job that I am valued for done faster? And then weigh that with how long it's going to take to do it. It is entirely possible that you have in the back of your mind, well, it's going to be automated. So even though it takes a long time to do it the first time, repeatedly, I'm going to get it for free now. And eventually it's going to save me a lot of time. Then you use it and you realize it's something that you only need 3 times a year. I'm building a lot of automation tools for this right now. And I see that a lot where there's an idea that sounds cool and I build it because I want to know. And I just love tools because I came from that background too. And then I get done and realize that I'm only going to do this once. I could have just done this manually in 5 minutes instead of building this automated system, which will run forever. So how often, how much time it'll save, those are basic questions that everybody's already asking. But we forget. The next thing is this something actually important? And there's a big twist in that I want to share with you. You can look at your job, and if you have any sort of creative or just knowledge economy level to your work, it's not just how much you get done. There's a certain quality of knowing how good it is and the right thing. Writing software, writing a shitty just get it done version versus a very well put together version of the same feature can save you 10x time in the future when you build on it. So really is a lot of value of how much improvement do we get by having this done properly. And I see this every day at my job. You don't even notice it, even though that is your job to design, because you're so focused on the nuts and bolts because you're in a hurry and a deadline. So what this AI can do to you, more than anything else, is it can free you from being on the front lines to being in the captain's chair and just actually look what is the most important thing. Don't underestimate that value. There will be times where it's going to be a wash, where it took me 10 hours to build this AI and it's going to save me 10 hours total of time. But when you sit back and you have that time all away and you get to just flow and run and then you're not interrupted, no context switches, you're full on the captain's chair view of everything the whole time, you start seeing deeper, you start seeing connections. You see the command level things that would really improve your work, the next steps, maybe staffing issues, ways to build training. I'm just spitballing here, but there's so much you get out of it that you don't realize you can when it's all together. It's a bit like, imagine trying to draw a picture of a mountain, but you only get to see it for a split second at a time. And then you like, all right, I guess I have to figure out what it is again. That kind of thing. For a metaphor I like a lot for content creators, the audio engineer. This is one of my favorite things I've heard about. And I know this is just for me for practice, and Martin's yelling at me like, Ethan, this is so boring. Can we just get to the QA? Audio engineers, it sounds like their job is to, I don't know, plug in all the recording equipment, get the microphones, or maybe it's editing it. The majority of their job, the primary thing they give, the most valuable thing, isn't that stuff. It's removing every single emotional obstacle during this session so that the performer can stay in their performing emotional state 100% of the time without being interrupted. This is easier for us to understand with art. But art, it's like love. You get into a momentum and you can't get to this real peak of like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, unless you've just been able to completely immerse yourself in that and not having to stop and come out and, oh, can we fix this? So if you look at it, maybe the audio engineer changed 15 minutes of the entire session. But the fact that the person got to stay in the flow 100% of the time, 10x is the level of depth and emotion and passion they're able to get into. The same thing happens with intellectual work, that you have this flow you get into. At first, you understand a little bit of the concepts, and you see how this other stuff connects, and then you see the next, and it gets to this exponentially more powerful, stronger, and high value for each 10 minutes you add on to it that you haven't been interrupted. So this already, I see with this that I'm putting together. Maybe that's what I should be talking about, the details of the AI that I've put together for this. I built tools one at a time for every step that I need before the recording and then after the recording. And the fact that after the recording, I hit a one button and it does everything from writing show notes to building thumbnails to building transcripts of the episode and all these little steps that seem like they don't take that long. The fact that I immediately just look at the results, I come into it with my decision fatigue fresh, deciding, well, what about this thumbnail? And maybe the whole concept we could change. Maybe we should be talking about not AI, but we still should be talking to software engineers. And these are the freaking important questions that I've been trying to get to for the entire 3 years I've been working on this stuff. It's not the half an hour time it saved. It's this. So that's the biggest thing that I want to hammer in right now. I feel we can explore this better by getting to the questions. Fun fact, the AI system went horribly awry, and I'm not even sure if it's going to work today, but it'll be a surprise.
What's the smallest, clearly defined task I can trial with AI this week to see if it saves me more time than it costs?
Okay, that is a good question. I feel there's a gut instinct that the biggest thing is going to have the biggest ROI. Like if you invest $1 million, you will get a higher APR than if you invest $20. In AI, it's actually the reverse. The smaller bite-sized thing you pick off, generally I'm seeing the AI is more effective, it's faster, and higher return. So I love the idea. Sit down and think of two or three things in your day-to-day workplace. The smallest thing possible that it could help you out with. If you have ways that it's repetitive tasks, this could be actually surprisingly lowball. There's a lot of grunt work that I've had it do, which are just shell scripts. And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically just a repeating loop or a one-time recipe that it just does. This has been around since the 70s. This is not new AI technology. This feels like something, I shouldn't be wasting time on that. This can't possibly have a big return. AI can help me write those so quickly that there's a lot more than that I'd make, a lot more sophisticated, and the ROI trade-off is so huge because I'm only spending maybe 3 or 4 minutes on one. These can save a whole lot of time. If there's things in your job right now, this isn't the sexy part yet, but if there's a lot of mundane tasks that I do over and over, and maybe it only takes me 5 seconds, but I do it so many times it's adding up over the months. Try using your AI, ChatGPT, your Claude, to say, hey, I got this. This is what my folder system looks like. Can you write me a shell script to automate that so I never spend time on that again? That'll be pretty cool. And then you get to experience what is your work life when you have that one small bump removed and you just keep cruising. If you start noticing a difference, you're gonna be more motivated to have that complete end-to-end in the captain's chair feel, but you'll also have a much better idea of what that looks like and what to look out for next once you've had a feeling experiencing it the first time. All right, keep working for me, buddy.
For my role, which 2-3 workflows have the best upside to risk profile for AI assistance right now?
Okay, so the question is risk, huh? Risk throwing a lot of time into something that's so big that you'll never close the loop and actually get it to work. Or it's so big that it spits out garbage. AI is not magic. The larger the scope that you give it, the more steps in the chain. Usually the further it just drifts away from anything meaningful. I've made a couple scripts where I'm asking it to get something from OpenAI. I didn't even think about it at the time, but the AI I asked wrote the prompt to put into it. And the results were just generic and bland and garbage, and it was a complete waste of time. So risk smaller, yes. For risk, smaller is less. And the only other part is, if you're dabbling with this, there's a lot of security things that you won't even have on your radar that can go horribly awry. There's the guy talking right now where he used AI to build an app. He had a good idea and it worked. This is great. This is the kind of stuff that we need to be taking advantage of now. This is the new opportunities. All of his security keys were put in his front end, which was visible to the user. And somebody just noticed that, said, great, I guess I can just literally take your money, and started withdrawing it from his accounts. Ask the question. You don't need to be a master on everything, but we need awareness. What are all the topics we need to have covered? So ask your AI that question. So how much security should we have for this situation? What is our current implementation here? And how much do those two match up? That'll be enough to keep you fine.
If you aren't using AI by the end of the quarter, you're choosing to be replaced by those who are.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty true statement. People want to underplay how much we're going to be replaced by AI, but how much you will be replaced by other people who are using AI, that is unquestionable, and that is going to be a steamroll monster. Just basic principles. Take the AI idea out of it. How long would you keep your job if you stopped adapting? If you stopped learning new skills? If there was a big market shift and you didn't adapt to it and everyone else on the team did, it almost wouldn't matter if it was an effective change or not. You would just look like a lazy piece of crap. You would be fired on principle. So this is our newest tool. And if we need to chat about things so you can get past the distaste of it, we can do that. But there is a legitimate, simple, generic, progressive step forward of a new tool that's come out. We should be using it. Otherwise, you're just not even trying. There are so many different ways to use AI. You can use one that feels right. It doesn't have to be some human replacing thing. Yeah, just ask the question and look, what is the thing that I could do that would make sense, that would feel right for me? And then everyone will say, yeah, Jim's working on it. He might be doing it a different way than the rest of us, and different often gets an answer that everyone else is missing.
As a union electrician juggling job sites and safety regs, where could AI actually help me without adding risk or paperwork?
Oh, interesting. A different type of person. Safety regulations are basically being a lawyer, and that is one of the reasons that AI was invented. Back when I was a scientist, I switched from visual processing to language processing because it was just obvious that is the biggest leap forward. If we understand language, we understand knowledge, and knowledge is the end of the game. And we got funding for that kind of thing by doctors and lawyers, because those are the two places where they're using language, and it's so expensive that they would be willing to pay money for it. Would be worth it if they spent a lot of money, because if it worked, it would save them a lot of money. So immediately get on that. With the safety regulations, if you have any questions, you're going to be the one on the line. You're the one who has to sign off on it. So you're going to have this feeling of, oh crap, I can't risk this. It never has to be risk. This is the radiologist model that we've always been using already. Use it as an aid to give you more suggestions, to shorten the process, and then you be the final checklist. Have AI, for example, whatever the regulations you have and the situations you're going in, plug those in. Say, what are the top 10 problems that we could have that might violate regulations? Bam! Instead of looking through all of it, you're just looking through 10 lines and go, saves a whole lot of time. And the best part, it will actually make your compliance higher, because your entire brain is focused on only the gray areas instead of wasting your fatigue on just obvious cases that don't need your attention. You'll get better, you'll save time. This is a great example of things that could help.
Given my deadline pressure, should I skip learning curves unless a pilot shows at least a 2x RI within 30 days?
I don't know how you're getting a pilot or anything measured, but deadline pressure is real. The fact is, it takes time to learn these things, and then it takes time to implement it to get a return. And if you're in deadline pressures, it's the risk that the time you spent learning something and building something that could save you time or improve your quality that time was enough for you to lose your job because you weren't doing your main deliverable. Corey was talking about that a chunk where he's curious and he wants to try different things, but he needs to get things done for clients today so they are happy, pay their bills, and come back next month. I'm just going to say try to find the smallest thing, because if that saves you some time, bam, that's giving you 10 minutes a week that you can work on AI. That solves another problem. Bam, now you have a half an hour a week, and you see this exponentially goes up. That's the name of the game.
Section 2, managing the AI output quality and go/no-go thresholds.
Okay, cool.
What accuracy, speed, and review time thresholds should AI meet before it enters my critical path?
Well, it sounds like you're trying to run a nuclear reactor. You're going to have unique criteria and unique answers to that. We can't give a general answer. The good rule of thumb is don't forget that our current solution is people, all right? For some reason, whenever we talk about AI, people get this weird idea in their head that it has to be perfect. And if we don't use AI, the alternative we can go back to is perfection. It ain't. AI cars getting crashes. I think some AI cars have killed people. You know what the alternative? Human drivers. You know how many people they have killed? More than one, okay? So whatever your standard of quality you need for this situation here, compare what is the level of correctness and error in your current staff. And you can start making some good decisions then. The big question is, we usually expect that AI is going to be a little worse than us at first. We know that's going to get better than us eventually, and who the fuck knows what happens then. But it will start off useful, but not as good as us. And just the same question of, what if we hired a new person? What if we hired an intern? Would it be worth investing in them until they got better? Is there some work that they could take on for us that would not be perfect, but correcting it would still be less time than doing it ourselves? And the real question is, if you happen to be an entrepreneur, the people who are going to win are the ones who are doing it at that starting point. They're not the people who waited until, well, this is just as good as what I had before. I didn't have to emotionally sacrifice anything at all. It's only pure good. Like, by the time you waited for that, someone else has been making things at 70% quality, spending half of the time needed to fix it up to 100%, and having a net gain of velocity. So that's where you need to have your eyes open if you're trying to look ahead.
How do I quantify the cost of AI errors versus my own time so I can make a clear go/no-go decision?
I actually like this question a lot. So the first thing we need to start doing, we need to start tracking ourselves better. How can we compare this if we don't know the data on the alternative, doing it ourselves manually? Guess what we can use to help us with that? I would actually say the safest and probably one of the first things that everyone should do is start building an AI tool for evaluating what your rates are, your velocity is, your failure rate, quality rate. And if you can get a quality rating, that might not apply to most people. Put that in, start building tools that start building that data. Usually these sort of things, they need a large data set before it becomes meaningful. You weigh yourself one time on the scale and it could say freaking 5 pounds different than tomorrow. So you want to start this now, collect a lot. It'll seem like garbage, but over time it will get more accurate, or at least a stable comparison point, and be more useful. Then when you start moving on to higher risk things of bringing in an actual AI that's going to take action, you have a solid comparison. And it would even be provable. If you're an employee and you got to prove it to management, you can look to them and say, hey, this is what you're already getting. This is giving me a little bit more than that. So even if this makes you uncomfortable, I can prove it to you that whenever you see something wrong, this is better than what we were doing before. So stop asking me what I'm doing when I'm doing my research and development with the extra time that is freed up.
Shipping AI-assisted work without human review is acceptable because speed beats perfection in most markets.
Oh, that's going to be seriously case by case. What's going to be keeping us around for the longest time is reviewing the things that AI does. So going without review, you don't want to waste time, but I don't think there's going to be too many situations like that right now. Yeah, I'm actually struggling to think of any place that we'd be looking forward to that. And it's not even on the risk angle. It's simply that the biggest value that we're still going to continue to provide is the judgment. It's not as simple as, well, the AI is smarter than us. It has 8 gajillion lifetimes of knowledge and experience. It's not going to have your context. It might even have too much context. You are the one who is going to be able to look at something and go, yeah, for us, for our market, in our situation today, between these 3 options that it prepared, that one will be the best one. I like the metaphor of making the thumbnails. It generates a whole lot of them, and it's just not capable of being able to know what would be the thing that would fit right for me. You still have to have that judgment call. We're actually going to have to come up with a better term for this because it's so important. Judgment sounds, very tepid. And it's more concrete than just the woo-woo, oh, we need the human spirit or the human touch. No, there is a specific awareness of what is connected in your domain that no AI is going to be able to get without some strong customization. And that's not going to happen for a little bit longer. If you have something ChatGPT, that's looking at the entire universe. It's not going to do it. If you build a custom LLM in your house, it's capable, but it's a newborn baby and won't know the context. So maybe if you built one today, in 5 years, it would know the context as well as you, and it could do that. But that's 5 years from now. So judgment, man. Hey, AI, what's a better word for judgment? We'll figure that out next week.
As a healthcare compliance officer, what guardrails must be in place before any AI output touches patient-facing materials?
Oh, man. There's so many sides to that. Well, first of all, anything with healthcare is just as much of a legal issue as an actual getting it done issue. There are people that want to make you healthy and fix that. And there's people who don't give a shit, that just want to find a reason that they can sue somebody, that they can make money. So that's what really drives most of this. Proving to someone that that is correct, is not going to do something wrong, legally approved, to go through all these massive governmental things we have in place. I'm not saying they're wrong. They're there for a lot of good reasons. But it's not going to be the first place that AI is going to successfully be adopted. This might be a primary example of some place where, for non-technical reasons, this would have such a high barrier of entry of effort that it's not going to be worth the ROI. Speaking from experience, the number one thing here is just having a private LLM. My company does work with medical data. And for that, whenever we use AI, it can't be just Gemini on the web. We have to get a special licensed one that is a complete box, and the data does not go out. And this isn't even giving any patient data. This is just giving the software that could use patient data to make sure it's completely protected from hacking. It has to have this, how our stuff works, completely hidden from the world. And that's something that can be done. Ask about it, find a specialist, and by the time you hear it, this will have already changed, so find out what the current thing is. All right. That might be our last one.
If AI can't beat my baseline quality or reduce total cycle time by 30% this month, should I ban it from production until models improve?
Oh, hell no. We talked about this. You have to do the full math. How much time will it take? No, how much time will it save? How much time will it take for you to manually put over the line? And then compare that against your current cost. If it's negative, let's start. If it's a positive, then fuck yeah, it's a no-brainer. Do it. If it's a negative, look at it again of, if this was just a blind audition and this was actually an intern that you were hiring that is going to get better, would you do it? Because the thing to remember, when you do something like this just doesn't get you more velocity. It gets you a laser eye on what's happening. When it gets better, when it becomes better than break even, you will see it instantly that morning. You're not going to have any risk of being the person who 3 months later found out, oh shit, that thing came out that works so well and our competitors have been doing it that they ate our lunch. And now, yes, in 3 months, every single client we have has already left us, gone to them, and we're out of business. When AI starts moving in your industry, it will move so fast. You will not have time to find out, oh shit, after the fact and then catch up. It's gone. So there is a huge amount of value in looking ahead, having something set up, running now, so you can monitor this. I would say possibly one of the most important things right now, artificial intelligence insurance. It's not being sold by a company. It's the tools you build that give you the insurance that it's not going to zoom past you and steamroll you over.
If AI can't beat my baseline quality or reduce total cycle time by 30% this month,
you already said that.
it from production until models
Get out of here. All right, more bugs to work out. That itself is a lesson. Everybody gets excited building their new tools. If you're not a developer, fixing it when it goes wrong is going to be 10 times harder. And it's harder to fix AI code than human written code. So, in a future episode, we'll talk about what things you can do to build in a way that will be maintainable for you. So whatever progress you make is a one-way trip. And not like some people where they've gotten almost to the finish line, start to get sales, and then have to delete it all and build it from scratch because they just can't figure out how to change anything without breaking all the other pieces. All right. Send some more questions and I will get to yours. I would love to hear from a bigger variety. Broaden the topic. Hit more angles, because the whole point of building this automated system is that we can more quickly just jump from different topic to different topic and get more range. That's what this junk drawer channel is for. All right. Man, I just feel weird today. Talk to you next time.